Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Matsevaya Pratitam. Matsevaya Pratitam Te. Matsevaya Pratitam Te. Salukyadi Chatushtayam. Salukyadi Chatushtayam. Nechanti Sevaya Purna. Nechanti Sevaya Purna. Kutunyat Kala Viplutam. Okay. Matsevayam Pratitam Te. Salukati Chatushtayam. Nechanti Sevaya Purna. Kutunyat Kala Viplutam. Matsevaya, by being engaged fully in my in my transcendental loving service. Pratitam, automatically achieved. Te, such pure devotees are fully satisfied. Salukya Adi Chatushtayam. The four different types of liberation. Salukya, Sarupya, Samipya, and Sarshti. What to speak of Sauyujya? Das musst du ja nicht sagen. Na, not. Ichanti, desire. Sevaya, simply by devotional service. Purna, fully complete. Kutaha, where is the question? Anyat, other things. Kala Viplutam, which are finished in the course of time. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. My devotees, who are always satisfied to be engaged in my loving service, are not interested even in the four principles of liberation: Salokya, Sarupya, Samipya, and Sarshti, although these are automatically achieved by their service. What then is to be said of such perishable happiness as elevation to the higher planetary systems? Purport. Srila Bilva Mangala Thakur has estimated the value of liberation as follows. Mukti Swayam Mukulitanjalit. Mukti Swayam Mukulit. Was auch immer. irgendein Sanskrit-Vers, die ich jetzt nicht lesen kann. Mangala Thakur realized that if one develops his natural devotional service to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Mukti stands before him with folded hands to offer all kinds of service. In other words, the devotee is already liberated. There is no need for him to aspire for different types of liberation. The pure devotee automatically achieves liberation even without desiring it. Om Ajnanatimrandasya Gnanjana Shalakaya Chakshurunvamitam Yana Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhistam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupagaramayam Darati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Parakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Saganaragunatam Vitam Tam Sachivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sagana Lalita Shri Vishakanitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopasha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Taprakanchana Gourangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Rishabhanu Sutedevi Pranamami Hari Priye Taprakanchana Gourangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Rishabhanu Sutedevi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripasindhueva cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Alright, so this is an impromptu lecture and it's going to be very short and hopefully very sweet. Okay, so Salokya, weißt du, do you know what this means? What?
This is this different kind of liberation.
Yeah, but what kind of?
I don't know exactly.
Samipya and Sashti.
Weit vom Außen her.
Yeah, but we'll luckily we have internet. Okay. All right, Salokya. Salokya, so Salokya comes from the word loka. Loka means place, so it means the same place. So that's the kind of liberation where you live in the divine realm, as such as Vaikuntha. Okay, Salokya. And Samipya is nearness. The devotee's nearness is near dran. So the devotees live in close proximity to God. Sarupya means same form, so they have the same form as Krishna, the four-handed form of Vishnu, and so forth. And Sashti means equal opulence. So those are the Salokya is like when you live in the kingdom of the king. Samipya is where you live, for instance, in the same palace, and Sarupya is where you have the same dress and everything the same. And so an example of that would be Narayana, where everybody looks the same. They have the same blue form and the same four hands. And Sashti is where you have the same wealth. So Krishna says, Srila Prabhupada says here that Let's see if I can find this verse. So this verse that Bilva Mangala Thakur has given, Canto 3, chapter 29, verse 13. I'm not sure. Okay, let's see. 3, 29, 13. 3, 29, 9, 13. Okay. No, that's not the same. Anyway, I couldn't find this this verse, but yeah, Bilva Mangala Thakur is a great devotee of Lord Krishna, and he made the realization, such as in the purport, that we don't have to strive for each of these individually. If we just serve Krishna, then we can have all of them. It doesn't always look like that, because devotees are often quite poor. We don't have the riches, but he was a poet, and he traditionally, he was born in a Brahmana family, and he was the Brahmana that became really attached to the prostitute called Chintamani. And then one day, it was a very stormy night, like really, really stormy, and he had the very strong desire to go and see her. So he went through the forest, he went through a raging river, and climbed up a tree, and he did whatever he had to do to get to her. And when he got to her, she's like, "Are you crazy?" If you had the same kind of desire that you have to see me, if you have that same desire to see Krishna, then you would have been liberated already. And that was kind of like a spark for him. Say, "Oh, yeah, I was attached to material things, to a prostitute, but it's better to have it for Krishna." So then he took her sort of as his spiritual master, which is also interesting, because if we think of prostitutes, we think of the most base, the lowest form of, one of the lowest forms of jobs that you can have is basically selling yourself for money. Okay. So one of his most famous quotes, I found a quote that he said. Let me see if I can read this. Mukti svayam mukulitanjali sarvatesman dharmartha kama gataya samaya pratikshaha. This means liberation herself stands before the devotee with folded hands, ready to serve him, while religion, wealth, sense enjoyment, and material prosperity wait for his command. So on the one hand, there's actually the only things that would stop you from serving Krishna there isn't really actually something that can stop you. If you want to serve Krishna, there's nothing that can stop you, not even being a prostitute, not even being a meat eater. Yes, if you're a meat eater, then won't definitely not be able to do it fully and not for long. So if you start coming to the temple and you start doing service, but you still eat meat at home, then gradually either one of two choices. Either you're going to leave the temple and continue your meat eating, or you're going to give up your meat eating, because they can't both exist in the same way. And I know of stories of devotees in the early days that they want to serve Krishna with all their hearts, but they have this weakness. Either they love women too much, or either they love drugs too much, or drinking, or whatever. So one devotee had a problem giving up alcohol, and so he made the rule for himself that he won't drink anything until he finished all his rounds, at least. And one devotee I don't know if it was heroin or cocaine or something like that, some heavy drug. He was still addicted, and he was trying to be a devotee, and he was living in a temple. And then one night, when he had such a massive craving for this drug, he went into the kitchen and he cooked himself like a huge pot of halava. And he offered it to Krishna. He just ate all the halava instead of just shooting up heroin or cocaine or whatever. So devotees all have their struggles. Bilva Mangala Thakur, he was from a Brahmin family, but he still had attachment to Chintamani. And I'm pretty sure that each of us, if we sit down, we don't have to think too hard about what our attachments are. But still, we are here and we are trying to serve Krishna, and that's what Krishna wants. Just on Sunday, we had the verse 4:11 from the Bhagavad Gita, in which Krishna said that according to how we surrender to him, he reciprocates in kind. Which means if we can I have to say, this is speculation, but I have to say that in this case, Krishna is maybe not telling the whole truth, because I can't imagine. This is my speculation, so if anyone wants to correct me, then please do so. Krishna is always more merciful, so Krishna will always give us more than what we give him, because he wants us back with him more than we want to come back. So when he says, if you give 5%, I give 5%, that doesn't sit well with me. I don't think that's. He always takes care of us. We always have exactly what we need. It may be that we need a difficult circumstance to direct us on our spiritual path, but in order to come back to him, we always have what we need. But in terms of Krishna shows himself, him as Krishna, as the person, to the extent that you serve him. So if you only give 5%, Krishna is just going to give you a little wink. Like, he's not going to show himself fully. He still takes care of you, and he still gives you what you need, and he still directs you. So in that way, he gives more, but showing himself as Krishna Bhagavan, you may not be able to enter really deep devotion if you don't approach him with deep devotion. So, but if we do that, then Bilva Mangala Thakur says, everything else is secondary. And it may not look like it from the outside, because, as I said, devotees struggle financially sometimes. But if you serve Krishna, then that becomes secondary. Like if you're struggling to get a job, or if the job is not working so well, I can sometimes say that being a freelancer is sort of an interesting. Being a freelancer is an interesting exercise in faith, because you don't have a salary that you can count on at the end of the month. You have to work for it, and if you can't find jobs, like me, if I can't find students, then I don't get the money. If I'm sick and I can't work, then I don't get paid. So it's very like a roller coaster. So yeah, but whatever the roller coaster may be, if we can still chant our rounds, and we can read, and we can offer food to Krishna and eat prasadam and whatever, then we think, oh, okay, yeah, money. I mean, you need money, but you don't worry about it so much, because you know Krishna's going to take care of you. So that's the wealth and the fame and the everything becomes second, because being able, or being in a position to serve Krishna and to actually have association with devotees is the most important thing. If that thing gets taken away from us, then that is when devotees really suffer. You could offer them $1 million or €1,000,000, but you tell them, I'll give you €1,000,000 if you stop chanting, or if you stop eating prasadam or whatever. That's not even a question. Like, yes, $1 million would be fine. I would love to have $1 million, but not if I have to stop chanting. It doesn't measure up. So and also Krishna gives us exactly what we need, and the wealth and the happiness and the liberation comes from inside. It's a state of mind. Because you can have poor people, like financially poor people, who feel poor. But you can have poor people who don't feel poor, because they know that there are more valuable things in life. A very good example of this is if you go, just look at all the movie stars. They have millions and billions and millions of dollars, but they also struggle like anything. Most of them struggle either with some kind of addiction, or they've had 5 marriages and it's all broken. They have their issues, and money doesn't make that better. But if you go up in Africa, Zambia, Zimbabwe, Angola, Mozambique, those people are dirt poor. They have very, very little, but they are happy. And I've seen that because I've been there. They suffer. I mean, it's a very difficult life to live, but they're still happy, because number one, they're not so weighed down by material things. They have so little, so they don't have so much to be attached to, but they're also still very much together as a family, and they have association, and they know the value of helping each other and supporting each other, and that's a kind of richness that money cannot buy. The moment money comes into the picture, then yes, you may have friends, but you don't know how many of them are genuine or real. They may only be your friends because you have money. So it doesn't compute. It doesn't weigh the same. This material wealth, and also liberation. Liberation, okay, great. I'm liberated from suffering, but it doesn't mean anything if you can't serve Krishna. So I have a movie reference, like always. There was a movie. It's kind of a very strange movie, and you could almost. There's a lot of elements in it that anyway. It's called The Adjustment Bureau, and it was a movie about the world being controlled by these agents, the Adjustment Bureau. So each person has a book, like a book of life, and these people make sure that this person follows their life, and they have to sometimes adjust because and there's an architect. No, that's Matrix. But anyway, there's a person that is like Lord Brahma. He's the creator of this, and then he has all his agents that make sure that people stay on track, because even in that movie people had free choice. Things could happen. So then obviously it was a movie about a man and a woman that met on a bus, but they weren't supposed to meet. So people were trying to separate them. And at some stage, this man meets one of these agents, and they explain to him, she will never reach her potential as a dancer. I think she was a ballet dancer. If they get together, this man and this woman, they get together, she will never reach her potential as a dancer. So he said, okay, I'll back off, because he wants her to reach her potential. And then it happens. She becomes very famous and whatever. And then one day he meets one of the agents again, because he can't get it out of his mind. And he asks them, is she happy? Like, yes, okay, I left her alone, she became famous, but is she actually happy? And then they didn't say anything, but he knew from their response that yes, she was famous, but she wasn't happy. It's like very depressed. And then he realized, yeah, okay, so whether it's better that we are together than not together, because happiness is more important than material things. So that is a very long, very strange way of explaining what Krishna consciousness is. Yes, you can have many friends. Yes, you can have fame, you can have fortune, you can have everything. But if you cannot have Krishna, then none of that matters. So you may also be liberated from suffering. But if you cannot connect that liberation to Krishna, then what's the use? Then it's empty, because you'll have to come back anyway. So, yeah, I said this was going to be a very short class. So it's quite hopeful. We as devotees don't have to do anything other than serve Krishna. And that may look different according to what ashram you are, according to your dharma, your varna. But the point is that whatever we do it for Krishna, and we do it with the intention of having a relationship with him and making him happy. And then we don't have to worry about liberation. Although sometimes I think if it gets really difficult, that's also why a lot of people in this world confuse happiness. They confuse relief with happiness. So if you are in incredible pain and you drink a painkiller and that pain goes away, then that relief that you feel from not being in pain could be mistaken of, oh, now I'm happy. So whenever people feel relief from suffering, they may think, okay, now I'm happy, but it's actually not happiness, it's relief, because happiness is only happiness if it's connected to Krishna. Any other thing is just temporary relief. So we don't want temporary relief, we want permanent relief, and we don't even care about relief because we just want to be with Krishna. And that is it. Punkt, fertig, aus. So, I sometimes wish, some people in the comments, you can comment on this. Sometimes I wish that we could have an online class as well. Like, yes, in the temple, but I think sometimes online classes would be better because then anybody who listens, how many people listen? One person is listening, and then we can talk to the people that are not physically present. What do you think of that idea? That's my question. I'm putting it out there. All right. That's it from me. Questions? Comments?
Ja, aber ich will auch nicht deine Zeit jetzt weg.
Nein, du kannst.
Also erstmal vielen Dank. Mein einer Gedanke war zu dem Vers, den du von Kamala-sita vorgelesen hast, weißt du, also diese verschiedenen Arten Befreiung, denen die Wut, aus dem rein Gott befreien oder irgendwie so hinterherlaufen. Ich habe so gedacht, ob das denn vielleicht so ist, weil der Devoti es eigentlich gar nicht mehr will. Weißt du, ob das deshalb so ist, weil also diese anderen Sachen, die also Reichtum und so weiter, laufen ihm hinterher, weil derjenige davon losgelöst ist.
Yeah, the verse says, where is it? The verse says that Bilvamangala Thakur realized that if one develops his natural devotional service to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, mukti, all of those muktis, stands before him with folded hands to offer all kinds of service. It means, yeah, so you can see sort of that if the devotee has reached a higher level, and like everybody, we want to be close to someone higher. So all the muktis think, oh, he has something better, I better serve him, because devotion is higher. They just want to, hinterherlaufen.
Und dann habe ich gesagt, irgendwie, meine Prostituierte sind auch ein Krishna-Buch genannt.
Ja.
Also Dwaraka.
Yeah, they yes. Prostitution is the oldest profession in the world ever. You have never had any kind of civilization where there hasn't been prostitution. But that's what I'm saying is maybe also, I don't know, I don't want to think about it too much, but the prostitution is one of those things that it will always be there. And it's like in the Netherlands, we all know the red light district, that's where the prostitutes live, and it's sort of, you can't stop it, so at least regulate it. I mean, it would be wonderful if it could, because, so yes, the prostitutes even in Dwarka, because even in Dwarka, even in wherever, there will always be people who cannot control their senses and they need some outlet. And what we know, I mean, if you talk to prostitutes, in Kali Yuga, prostitution is also much worse than it maybe was then. There was still some culture, but now it's really animalistic. And it's really bad for the woman, and most women don't really want to do it. They just do it because they absolutely have no other choice. So even those women can be devotees. They can read the Bhagavad Gita. They can serve Krishna in any way, shape, and form that they can. They have this job. It's not nice. it's against the regulative principles, but even that doesn't bar them, it doesn't stop them. They can still do something. Whatever money they have, they can use it. It's not, but obviously, if they have another option, any other option, it's better to do that other option. If it's not like, if a prostitute chooses to become a butcher, then maybe not so good. But if a prostitute is, for instance, a very good seamstress, she can make clothing, then it's better to be a seamstress than a prostitute. But again, the propensity of wanting to serve Krishna is in everyone, regardless of what job you have. It's just that your circumstances either make it more difficult or easier to serve Krishna. But each and every one, no matter where we are and what we do, we can do something for Krishna. So, and the prostitutes obviously in Dwarka were special prostitutes because they were in that role, but they were with Krishna in his city. So it's not, you can't really compare it to any other. Yeah, it's not, it wasn't degraded. And also, I mean, there's a lot of different shades of prostitution. It doesn't have to just be the act of the physical act or anything like that. There's a lot of subtle. That is why, and that's one of the reasons why, and the feminists are most probably going to kill me for this, but that's why the sexes, men and women, have to be separated. They have to be held apart because there's a lot of subtle things that also count as, you could say, prostitution, but it may not be physical sex. Okay, I really have to go. So thank you very much for everyone listening. Grantara Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.